All right, everybody, welcome to another week. We are officially in our 5th week of Space Club. It was so exciting seeing everybody's welcome towers this week. We love seeing your submissions, so keep on submitting them in Goose Chase. At the end of this presentation today, we will be giving away more prizes, so make sure to, again, keep submitting. We're watching all of them and reading all of your submissions. So again, for our introductions, my name is Aspen Meineke, and we also have Natasha Wilkerson here. We are part of your Space Club Mission Control, and today we have not one, but two very, very exciting guests today. I'm so excited to bring them on. So first, I'm going to give a quick introduction into both of them. And again, during our career chats, if you have any questions for our speakers, please put them in the Q&A box. And yeah, so our first guest today is Claire Meschkat. She is a STEM teacher at a private school in Texas, and that she has previously worked in commercial and agricultural, aviation, manufacturing industry for both Boeing and Air Tractor, as well as on the NASA Space Shuttle program. Her background is that she has a bachelor's in aerospace engineering from Texas A&M University. And we also have Kyle Schroeder, who is the certification manager for Air Tractor, a company that builds agricultural and firefighting planes, just like Dusty Crophopper in the Disney Planes movie. He has spent over 10 years investigating plane crashes, and he'll be answering all of your questions about that. And he did that so we can try and find out what went wrong while the planes were flying and how we can prevent them from happening again. And he also has a aerospace engineering degree from Texas A&M University. So Kyle and Claire, if you guys want to jump on, turn your cameras on, and we will get into the questions. All right, so our first question, Kyle, if you want to take this one, we got a lot of questions on what does Air Tractor do? So our first question from Amazing Asteroids in Ohio is, what is the purpose of Air Tractor?
So the company I work for is named Air Tractor, and we build a utility airplane. And a utility airplane is a plane that can be modified to perform many different missions. So some of our airplanes are agricultural airplanes. They'll spread fertilizer or other products on a field to help a farmer's crops grow better. Some of our airplanes are modified for firefighting, as you can see in the picture there. And then some of our airplanes do other neat things like bringing fuel to remote villages in Alaska during the wintertime. And also, my favorite is we have a company in Indonesia that hauls lobsters in our airplanes and to and from restaurants.
That's very cool. And so do you have just like one or two main models of planes, or do you have like 10 to 20 different models? How many?
We have 4 primary models that we're working on. Our smallest airplane holds 400 gallons of water in the hopper, and our biggest holds 800 gallons. So that's a big size range.
That's a lot of water. All right, so we're going to jump into y'all's backgrounds and basically how you got to where you are today. So our first question is from Galaxy Eagles in California. What inspired you to do the job you have right now, and how did you decide to become an engineer? So Claire, if you want to start off on this question.
Sure. So I've had a lot of different jobs, as you could tell from my bio. Now I'm a teacher, but I used to work for Air Tractor and Boeing and worked at NASA. So I originally and still want to be an astronaut. So that's what inspired me to take the career path that I did. And my job right now as a teacher is I just love working with kids. And I feel like I have learned so much and I love learning, and I want to pass on that to the next generation, to you guys.
Yeah. Was there ever like a single moment where you're like, this is, I want to be an astronaut? Was there ever like a moment that really stuck out to you?
Yes, when I was in elementary school was when the Mars Pathfinder rover landed on Mars. And I just couldn't believe that humans put something on another planet. And I said, I want to be a part of that. How do I do that? And so that was my moment when I decided. I think I was like 9 or so.
Yeah, and some of our students might have had a similar experience because the Mars 2020 Perseverance rover, which we've been talking about, landed just a couple weeks ago. So that might have inspired some of you guys to take a similar career path someday. So Kyle, would you like to give your response to that question?
Yeah, so my story started, I grew up on a small dairy farm here in Texas, and that was a lot of hard work. We woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and milked our cows before going to school, and then got home in the evenings and milked cows again. And um, I wanted to get as far away from farming as I could. So I thought aerospace engineering is a good place to go for that. And I loved airplanes, and my current job has allowed me to focus both on agriculture and engineering. And so it's been a good marriage.
Yeah. All right, for our next question. So I guess, Kyle, if you want to continue on this one, how many years of studying in college did it take for you to get to where you are now from Moonwalkers in Illinois?
So I've spent 4.5 years at A&M getting my bachelor's degree, but as you all know, education never ends. Every day is a learning experience. So I'm still learning today.
Awesome. And Claire?
I would say the same answer. I also had 4.5 years. Typically, when you go to college, you might find other interests that you like instead of just your major. So you can also pick up something called a minor. So it took me 4 years to get my major, my bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering, but I took an extra, I think it was 5 courses to get my minor in creative studies. So you can extend your learning and not just stick to one thing too.
Yeah, that's a really important conversation we had last week with our speaker, was that you don't just have to pick out one career path. You can have, switch it up, do totally different, employers, totally different avenues of a career. So I love that comment. All right, Kyle, how did it feel for you to become the first in your family to go to college? Were you proud of yourself from the extraterrestrial in Florida?
Well, it felt great. Like I said, I grew up on a farm, and my parents were wonderful, intelligent, smart and hardworking people, but they had never had the opportunity to go to college, and they worked really hard to give me that opportunity. And I took it, and I wanted to make the most of that. I didn't take it lightly. I really wanted to do my best. And of course, I was proud of myself, but I think my parents were prouder whenever I walked across that stage at graduation.
Do you have any advice for some of our students that might be the first in their family to go to college? Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, it's not always an easy thing to be the first at doing something, especially in your family. But if that's a goal that you have, it's very important that you set your mind to it and do everything that you can to achieve that goal, and work hard. And once you get to college, the work doesn't stop. There's a lot of work to do in college too to keep up your studies.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for students that might be struggling, with math and science right now?
Well, I myself struggle with math and science still to this day, and there's no replacement for hard work. Any time that you can put in extra hours studying or get tutoring, those are great things to do.
Yeah. All right, Claire. What made you want to teach after becoming an aerospace engineer? How long did it take for you to get both degrees? And do you have degrees in both from Galaxy Rangers in Indiana?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because I don't have degrees in both. My degree is only in engineering. So you don't have to have a teaching degree to teach in a lot of places. So I'm very grateful that the school I go to doesn't require that. I am going to pursue my master's degree in education starting this summer, but that's because I love learning and I want to be better at the things that I'm trying to do. So I think it's important to note that if you want to do something, you try all that you can to be better at it. And that doesn't mean just getting a piece of paper that says that you're good at it. So I really enjoy teaching, and I didn't ever think that I'd become a teacher. I thought I was going to be an engineer forever. But as I was doing the engineering thing on the side, I loved working with kids and showing them how cool it was, all the things I got to do. So I'd be launching rockets with kids in homeschool groups, or with my own kids doing science experiments at home. So it became like this passion that I thought, I really think that the next generation of problem solvers, like you guys who are listening, are the key to our future. And I want to help as much as I can. So if there is an opportunity to give back from anything that you receive, whether it's your education or just in general, any kind of blessings that you receive that you can pass on, try your best to pay it forward in any way you can, whether that's getting another career in that or just doing it on the side.
Yeah. And what grade levels do you work with?
I teach kindergarten through 7th grade.
That's a wide range.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So Kyle, we're going to jump back to you. So we got a lot of questions about plane crash investigation. So we're going to start off with this question from Vital Galaxy in Maryland. What was your first plane crash that you had to solve?
So the first accident investigation I ever worked was a man who had he was flying his plane and he had gotten lost in the fog and ended up crashing in a swampy area. That was a really important investigation for us because it led us to make some changes to our airplane in that we started installing a new device called a artificial horizon on every airplane that helps people if they get into a foggy area. It helps them know which way is up, and it helps prevent them from crashing.
And how did you get started with this type of job? Was it like handed to you, or did you seek it out? How did that?
It was, it was always something I was interested in. I think the science behind looking at broken pieces of an airplane and trying to figure out what happened is a wonderful mystery to try to solve, especially if it can lead to improvements in our airplanes. So it was always something I was interested in, but my boss gave me the opportunity to do it, and I really enjoyed doing it and did it for many years.
Yeah, I think that's important to like take advantage of any opportunity you have, because you never know, it'll turn into a lifelong career like you had.
That's right. That's very important.
All right, our next question is, what is the most challenging part of investigating plane crashes? From Southern Space Girls in Mississippi.
I'll give you two answers to this one. The first answer is probably the most difficult thing is being away from my family. When you investigate plane crashes, you never know when they're going to happen, and so if the phone call comes on your son's birthday and you have to get up and go to the airport and fly to Mississippi or somewhere like that. To look at a airplane accident, that's just what you have to do. And so that was the most difficult part for me, is just being away from my family occasionally. The other answer I'm going to give is more of a technical one. Planes usually don't crash in nice areas that are easy to get to. We've had plane crashes on the top of mountains. We've had plane crashes in swamps, in the water, and places like that are very difficult to get to. So a lot of times that's the most difficult part of any given investigation, is actually getting to the scene and being able to do the investigation, even though it's in a very remote area.
Wow. And how long does a plane investigation take from, the moment you're at the scene to when you're done, I guess, processing it?
Yeah, so we usually spend 1 or 2 days on the scene, actually measuring things on the airplane and taking lots and lots of pictures. And then we usually go back home and we write our notes and we make a list of other things that we'd like to look at. And so usually when that happens, we'll come back to the airplane. The airplane will be recovered to a facility that keeps the airplane for us. And so we'll go back and look at the airplane and take more measurements. And so that whole process can actually last several years. We usually try to finish an investigation within 2 years, but it takes a while.
Wow. And then another question we got from Asteroids in Michigan is, I thought this was a great question. Are planes still hot after a few hours from when they crash?
Actually, they're not. So the very first thing that someone would do in a plane crash is call 911. And so the fire department will come first. And the fire department will come and they will, if there's a fire, they'll put out the fire. If there's hurt people, they will help those people. So the fire department gets there a long time before we do, and they always make sure it's safe for us whenever we arrive.
That's good. That's the most important, keeping you all safe.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Claire, we're going to jump back to you. And so we have this question from Space Rocket in New York. What are some of the planes you have built at Air Tractor or Boeing?
So I think the first thing to mention is that engineers don't always actually build the aircraft you're working on. The hands-on part is usually done by people that are working in the manufacturing facility, but engineers are responsible for the design of the aircraft. So I've more worked on the design side of a lot of the airplanes that Kyle mentioned earlier. At Boeing, I specifically worked on the 747, which if you've ever flown in an airplane to another state or something, it's a really big one. And while I was there, they were redesigning the wings. The wings used to be made out of a metal, and now they're made out of a composite material. And that adds a lot of benefits. They're more flexible and things. So I worked on the 747 when they changed the wings to composite, and then for the 787 Dreamliner, which is an all composite aircraft. It was the first one that Boeing's ever made. And what was really cool about that is that as an engineer, you get to do testing. So you design and test the aircraft. And at Boeing, what we did is called a duck test. And that's where they would put a rubber duck on the very tip of the wing. And then they would put cables that would bend the wings up as far as they could until it would snap off the aircraft, because they just wanted to see how flexible was it. And so we called it the duck test because they put that rubber duck on there, and when the wings snapped, the duck would go flying somewhere in the facility, and people would have to go and try to find out where it landed. That had nothing to do with engineering design. It was just a really fun way for us to entertain ourselves while we were testing. But those are some of the cool things that I got to do while I was there.
Yeah, that's interesting. As part of your job was like breaking airplane wings. You know, most of the time you think you break something and that's not what you're supposed to do, but I guess it's an important part of the job as well.
Yeah, you got to know when it's going to fail and how it's going to fail. That's really important.
Yeah. All right. Our next question is, how do you balance your time between your hobbies and your job? From Big Bang in New York.
That is a great question, and one I'm still working on. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing is you always want to know what your priorities are and make sure you keep those in line. So my family is very important to me. So if I have something that's kind of getting in the way of that, I have to refocus and say, well, do I need to maybe change up how I'm working, or maybe I need to pull back on some of my hobbies? And then sometimes they overlap. Like I talked about how my hobby of sharing what I enjoyed about engineering with kids then became my career. And so I kind of absorbed some of that time into one thing. And then also involving your priorities with something else. So my kids are also some of my students. And so I get to spend time with family while I'm also teaching. So I think it's important just to make sure that you know what you want out of life and make sure the rest of everything else falls into line with that.
Yeah, that was a great response. All right. And then as a woman in this career, are you aware of any organizations for female engineers I should seek out in high school or college? From Starry Nights in Texas.
I love this question. I like how they're thinking through that. I think being proactive is one of the most important things that you can do when you're in high school. The best organization or the first one that comes to mind is Society of Women Engineers. They're a great organization to get you some real world experience in what it's like to be an engineer. They also offer really good scholarships. So that's a great reason to get involved with them. I would encourage you to contact a local university or college, because a lot of them have summer programs for girls interested in engineering. And that also can lead to you joining other organizations and also getting scholarships. So I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, I think mentioning scholarships is so important because it's not what you usually think of when you're joining like an organization or a club, but there's so many organizations out there that do offer scholarships, so take advantage of those. All right, and then for Kyle, we had lots of questions on how did you get the materials and the space to build an airplane in your garage? And this was from Infinity Cosmos in Texas.
Yeah, building an airplane in my garage was one of my favorite hobbies that I've ever done. The uh, the airplane came as a kit. There's a whole group of people called home builders, and home builders build airplanes in their garages. And last time I checked, there's over 30,000 airplanes that have been built in people's garages. Um, there's a whole bunch of different designs. Some of them are really fast, and some of them are really slow, and some of them are really normal, and some of them are really crazy looking. But there's a lot of different options out there. The kit that I went with was it came as a pile of metal, and it was delivered to me by the FedEx man, and he dropped off a pile of metal, and it had a set of plans in there, and go through the plans, and it tells you to drill a hole right here, and you drill a hole right there, and you just follow the directions. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from it. I think it's important to have hobbies like that help you grow as an engineer. I learned more about airplanes from actually building an airplane in my garage than I do at work every day. If so For those of you that want to be an engineer or a designer of something, it's a really great thing to find somebody who is building or rebuilding an old car or a tractor or something like that, and learn how those things work, and spend time with people who know how things work, and learn as much as you can from them.
I think that's such great advice, is to really get the hands-on experience, and you don't need to like have a degree or know all of the math and science to start doing that. Like anybody that's listening to this, watching this, can start doing that like today.
That's absolutely right.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to be jumping into our rapid fire questions. So we're going to do one for Claire and one for Kyle. So we're going to start with you, Claire. So you each will have 10 seconds. There's 5 questions. You'll have 10 seconds to answer each question. Claire, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right. What is your favorite model of the air tractor?
That'd have to be the Fire Boss. It's a beast and on floats.
Awesome. What is the best thing about working with rockets?
They can go into space.
What is the weirdest plant you have seen?
Okay, that one would probably be the Boquilla trifoliolata, which is a vine, and it can shapeshift to mimic its surroundings.
Oh, where did you find that?
It's in Chile. I just like plants.
Cool. All right, what is the most interesting or unique item you have found while fossil hunting?
Oh, so I have found a 300,000-year-old clamshell, and then just a couple weekends ago, I found a geode.
Oh, that's cool. And then last but not least, why do you like to teach?
I just really love giving back, because so many other teachers poured into me, and I would like to pass that on.
Awesome. All right, Kyle, are you ready for your rapid fire questions?
I'm ready.
All right, first one. What is your favorite type of plane?
I think that would have to be the home-built airplane I built in my garage.
What was the weirdest thing you have found while investigating a plane crash?
I don't know that I've ever found anything weird, but I'll change the question. The coolest thing that I ever saw while I was doing a plane crash was last summer. We were on top of a mountain, and we were watching helicopters fly down below us. That was really neat to be up above the helicopters.
Yeah, it sounds scary. All right, did you vomit on the Vomit Comet?
No, we were only the second flight ever not to vomit on the Vomit Comet. Our picture is still on the wall down at NASA today.
That's very impressive. All right, what did you want to be as a kid?
I wanted to be a firefighter, and I actually get to live that dream. I'm a volunteer firefighter in my hometown.
That's great. And then last but not least, what is the coolest part about your tractor?
The coolest part about Air Tractor is that we get to build airplanes that make a difference in the world. We build airplanes that help farmers raise the crops that you guys eat every day, and we build the airplanes that help put out the fires that that threaten people's lives. And so our airplanes really make a difference.
Yeah, great. All right, Natasha, do we have any questions in the Q&A box?
Yes, I've just been rapidly fielding all these questions because I think you guys did an awesome job. Lots of great questions. And I want to start with Claire. Have you ever flown an airplane?
Yes, I'm actually a student pilot, so I'm working on getting my license.
How many hours do you need to become a pilot?
You need 40 hours. Usually pilots have way more than that, but the requirement is 40.
Cool. All right, Kyle, how did you choose Texas A&M to go to college?
I had an uncle that went to school there, and so he talked to me about how great of a place it was, and I visited campus, and I just really enjoyed the feel of the campus and the people there.
I love it. Okay, well, those were kind of the big questions that everything else you answered. So thank you so much both for joining us in the career chats. We're now going to move to the next part. So you're welcome to stick around, especially Claire, because I want you to see this highlights video. So let me go ahead and share my screen with everybody. All right. So we are going to show you the highlights video for the last mission, which was Plants in Space. And the reason why I want Claire to stick around is you might have recognized her from the video on the Plants in Space on how to do this project. So I would like to get her reaction to your awesome designs. She has not seen this. Here we go.
Those were all amazing. We've got some future engineers here. I love the thought that went into those materials, especially the foil that was reflecting the sunlight back into the greenhouses, and that actual greenhouse that somebody made. I think that was from Triton's Tribe.
That's right. Yep.
Incredible. Way to go, guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, like Claire said, I'm really excited to see what you're going to do this week now. So you did this Plants in Space, and now we're going to build a different tower, which is your welcome tower to light up your sign. But let's get to raffle prizes, because I know that's what you're waiting for. So every week we have a different raffle prize. It's all based on the previous week's questions. And then you're still working for that final school prize that one school will earn in May. So keep going, keep submitting, because you never know, you might win. So this week we have one team, and this is a nice prize. So one team is going to win a microscope. And this whole kit is actually going to have everything you need, including slides that have what you see here. So you can look at bugs and bacteria, and then you could just go around your house and look at stuff like your hair and fabric. So I think this is a really awesome prize. Okay, so we do this live. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to go ahead and pull up our wheel of people that are eligible for the prize. So these are 87 teams that are eligible for this week's prize, totally random. You're all on this wheel. Ready? Scholars Academy in New Jersey, congratulations. We will contact your teacher on how to get your microscope. So that concludes this week's Space Club Career Chat. Thank you again, Kyle, Claire, for joining us today. I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thank you.